Welcome, Chris. It's so great to have you back out here at the Oasis, and thank you so much for joining us on our podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me here today.
Awesome, mate. So tell us about your journey starting off in the Army. Why did you join? When did you join?
Yeah, so at the time I was living in Bundaberg, and the world went through that big financial boom, and there was a lot of loss of work and income, and there was a really big push to join the Defence Force. I originally wanted to be a boatie, but there was just sign up here and you can join artillery, and then you can be a boatie when you get in. Once you've done your recruit training. And I was like, oh yeah, cool. And that never happened. I was sort of laughed at when I wanted to be a boatie, and I asked the question first day at Wagga, and they knocked that on the head pretty quick. And 2009, and then moved up to Townsville after that.
Awesome. And during your time, you did some time over in Malaysia, RCB. Tell us about that.
Yeah, did RCB 107. So 3 months over there. A lot of pre-training in Tully, and getting familiar with the jungle setup and and how you operate. So it was really great experience. Got to learn a lot about Asian culture, and and also learned a lot about myself and the crew I went over with. Yeah, it was great.
Awesome. And during your time, you got involved with some defence in the All Blacks Carnival. Tell us how that looks.
Yeah, so I have a rugby league background, so I played a lot of football growing up. And there was rugby league in the Defence Force. So many years ago, I think it was around 2011, Ken Nellyman and a few others put together a first ever Indigenous Army rugby league side, and we went and competed at the Bindal All Blacks Carnival here in Townsville. We weren't successful the first year, as I had played All Blacks football in my younger days, so I was quite aware of how football is very different to just normal rugby league that you play round in your local comps. Very physical, very demanding on the body, and it's a long carnival. A lot of football being played in a matter of 2 or 3 days. So it was a good experience for the boys. And then we come around the second year and we took out the second plate. So won the grand final there, and we were pretty competitive over the next few years. And then once I got out, it's sort of, I think it's all gone now. So, It doesn't exist anymore. But, it was a really good experience.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. So you've transitioned out.
Yep.
Talk us through that.
Yeah, so when I was in defence, I did around rugby league, but I also did a lot of community stuff within defence. So going out to schools and speaking with youth about careers, not so much careers, employed in that sense, but just sharing my experience with youth. And it was something that I could actually picture myself doing. And I think that's a bit of a tip for anyone in that transition phase is, can you picture yourself doing that particular role or working in that environment? So I took the plunge, and I did a diploma in community service while I was still serving. And once I jumped out, it was a very quick transition. It was, I think, a matter of like 5 or 6 weeks, and I was out, which was really crazy. It's like the day I got out was like a Thursday, and I was working at the men's prison on the Monday.
Wow.
Like it was, I obviously did my induction stuff, but started to work in the prison. So I did everything a little bit backwards because I wanted to work with youth, but I didn't get a job working with youth. But I got a job working in the men's prison as a caseworker. So I thought, why not? Still community service, still got to learn the ropes. So sort of did it all around the long way. So I went out there, learnt a lot about myself and my skills, had to really develop my people skills, especially in that environment and working within the prison, but also working with offenders that were transitioning out. So they were getting ready to reintegrate back into the community. So setting them up for some success. So just basic stuff like ID, where they would go to look for employment, who they could link up with, linking them up with other services and stuff like that. So once I got the knack of that, I actually still applied for Cleveland Youth Detention Centre as a youth worker on the floor, and that was still in the background. And when I got the call up to come in and have an interview, did that. And during all this time, I really didn't give myself time to reflect on my defence, what I achieved, and things that, I probably should have addressed during my transition phase. But I still just kept working. So I was really pushing myself, challenging myself, but pushing the stuff to the side.
Yeah.
And I was just sort of band-aiding it all the time, and which was not healthy at all. So I got a job out at the Youth Detention Centre, worked on the floor, and then I got a bit of work doing transition stuff. So because they saw my skills, they saw what I had studied and what I'd done before. So I did a bit of work in the transition phase, so helping youth reintegrate back into their communities throughout Queensland. So it wasn't just in Townsville. So we had a couple of offenders from down south or, way far up north. And so learned a lot about those sort of things and a lot of red tape, what you can and can't do. And I was like, well, how can I help this situation from them not coming into here? Obviously, it linked me into education. So I did a little bit with employment, which was for about 6 months, and then I got a job with Queensland Education. And from there, I worked with disengaged years 11s and 12 kids from Townsville. So it was the best of the best, the cream of the crop, and working with them was insanely challenging because it wasn't in a confined space like you've got a youth detention centre or a prison. It's like a school. Can be quite loose at times, but it was very relatable to defence. Keeping your team tight, debriefing, prepping for the day, all that sort of thing, and then also being ready for whatever may happen, what's going to walk in the door. So it was very, very challenging, but it was probably the best 5 years I had for finding myself in a sense. Yeah.
Wow. You talk about your challenges of transition and that you sort of pushed that to the side. At what point did that hit home for you?
Well, I think it was always there. There was always things that were slowly building up, throughout the jobs I was doing, and the environments I was working in. But it did hit home when I started working in education because, seeing young people, disadvantaged, and then there was certain things that happened at the school or happened in community, and it was very relatable. And then I started to bring my work home, which is something something I would not normally do. But in this environment, because I cared so much, I took it home. And that's when it really hit home. I think I didn't allow myself to almost de-energise, just release. And it was a big eye opener for me. My family were crazy supportive for me. My hat goes off to them and my close friends. But it was a phase in life where you just went, wow, what am I doing? Yeah. It really hit home. So
Yep. And you actually, employment now, you've sort of gone to a totally different field.
Yeah, mate. Yeah. I challenge myself all the time, and it's crazy why I do that. But I'm currently finishing off a heavy diesel fitter apprenticeship. Got under a year to go, so I do that out of town. So I drive to Mackay every week on, week off, and it's obviously another challenge, but it's an environment I could picture myself doing, and that was always something. Yeah, it was, like I said before, it's something if you can picture yourself doing it, just have a crack, have a go at it. Yeah.
Awesome.
I was only just admiring your outstanding art piece you've got in our main building, Chris. You've done some and still doing some artwork now? Yeah,
so during my transition phase, I I had a big thing for Aboriginal art. You know, I'm a proud Guri man from Bundjalung Nation, so I always go back home and connect with country and my elders and my family, and the big plan is to move back home in a couple of years, just finishing off this apprenticeship. But I some reason I picked up the brush and started painting when I just got out, and kept it to myself for a little while, and then I started to get some interest of. Just started putting it up on my socials, and then next minute I'm running a small business from home, and I'm doing Aboriginal dot art and connecting with so many people around the country and overseas, and businesses, schools, big sporting teams. Like last night I had a art session with the NRLW Cowboys women's side, and we're creating an art piece together. I did one with Mates for Mates. The Townsville Fire just created their Indigenous design jersey too, so that'll be getting dropped out on the social. So it's been a crazy journey, and I've learnt so much more about myself and my ability. And I think it's just a good advice for anyone. Just if you're thinking of doing anything, just have a crack at it. If you second guess yourself, you'll regret it later. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the Oasis artwork, tell us about that. You talk about it reflects on service and...
Yeah, it does. So it was such a very emotional art piece, I must say. Creating this, it was about 2.5 meters long, and it's in the Oasis here, and did it a couple of years ago. And that journey, creating that art piece, I suppose I reflected a lot on my service, but also how far I'd come, as a person. So when creating the art piece, and then I was a little bit, I suppose, emotional, but I was really connected to the piece. And then once we got it hung up and had to do the unveiling in front of some pretty high up people in the community, once we unveiled it, a lot of emotions just overcome that I was not prepared for, and I actually was speechless. I couldn't speak. And I couldn't even talk about the art piece. It was the most weirdest feeling I've ever had in my life. But it was cool. I reflected back on that, and I still think to this day, I was like, man, that actually showed me how much I like it, and it's a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you talk about, I should say, how would you find, or how would you have felt if you had something like the Oasis back when you transitioned out? Yeah,
wow. I mean, I have connected with the Oasis, and I've, had to refer some mates here before. And I think if the Oasis was here a lot earlier, especially for my transition, because of, I suppose, how quick it was, my transition, I think things would have been a lot smoother. Not to say, Defence didn't do a good job. It was, I suppose, it was just my circumstance, but something like this in the community that can help veterans or people that are still in Defence or their families, is so positive. And, even helping my mate that, had to connect through here was massive for him, for where he was, his situation he was in, it got him out of a really, really bad, dark hole. So, yeah.
That's
Cool.
great to hear, Chris. Thank you. We are asking all our guests this question. Yeah. What advice would you tell your younger self, or give your younger self?
Yeah, so don't be in a rush to grow up. I suppose for me, my personal experience, I wanted to grow up quicker because for some reason I wanted to go to work, and I wanted to make money and all this and that, and my kids are the same, and I'm like, just slow down. It's great to grow up, but as you get older, things start to break down, and you're like, oh, I wish I was younger, or when I was younger, I could do this. And, I did crazy things playing football at 35 years old, and I was like, oh my goodness, like, why am I doing this? My body's in the hurt locker. So I suppose, reflecting back, I enjoyed my growing up with all my cousins and my mates and where I lived. Yep. But I think everyone sort of reflects back on those sort of, those times and go, oh man, I shouldn't have rushed to growing up. Yeah, I should have just just enjoyed it for what it was. So
Yeah, too many responsibilities as an adult, I
Hell
say,
yeah.
and bills.
Yeah, too much, too much.
Well, thanks, Chris. It's really been great having you on today.
Yeah, mate, really appreciate your time. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you. Thanks for having me.